Hey guys, sorry, I kind of screwed up on that last one. And so we're going to finish here. Now, after taking over France with his blitzkrieg, like I was talking about, Hitler then set his eyes on attacking Great Britain. As you all know, Great Britain sits on an island, and they have one of the strongest navies in the world. We've talked about that throughout world history. And so it was hard for him to actually attack the island. So what he starts to do is he uses his air force to attack Britain in what is known as the Battle of Britain. Hitler wanted to invade Britain, but first he had to fight the British Royal Air Force. The German and British fighters fought throughout the summer of 1940, and Nazi bombers continuously bombed London. It was known as the London Blitz. They bombed London every night. Now, one of the good things for Britain is they created this new type of technology called radar, and they were able to let the people of London know that the German bombers were coming, and they had pretty much, we have tornado sirens here. They had bomb sirens in London. It was pretty much the same thing as our tornado sirens that would go off and tell the people of London to go underground and go into hiding. Throughout the Nazi Blitz, Prime Minister Winston Churchill rallied the British people and prevented Britain from falling to Hitler. And this will be Hitler's first loss. Here's one of the things. I talked about Hitler's mistakes. His first mistake was letting the troops escape at Dunkirk. His second mistake is he almost had the British Royal Air Force completely wiped out. And if he would have done that, he would have been able to invade Great Britain and probably take them over. But the British sent a bombing raid on Berlin and were able to bomb Berlin. And this made Hitler really upset. And so he wanted to make the British pay for that. And so instead of attacking the military outpost in Great Britain and the Air Force, he starts to bomb civilian locations to make the British pay. And when this happens, the British are able to rebuild their Air Force and defeat Hitler. So that will be kind of his second mistake. He doesn't pretty much wipe out all of their Air Force and their military. He switches to attacking civilian outpost, and this will let the British come back and be able to defeat Hitler. Now, not only did Hitler control most of Europe by this time, he needed vital resources coming out of Africa, especially oil. So he sends one of his most trusted generals, a guy by the name of Erwin Rommel, or the Desert Fox, to Africa to take control of the Suez Canal, which is extremely important for shipping, and to take over Egypt and Libya that had a lot of oil. In 1951, Hitler hoped to cut off the British from their supplies by taking the Suez Canal. He sends Erwin Rommel, the Desert Fox, with a group of panzers into Africa, and his troops were known as the Afrika Korps. If you look at their panzers, they're a little different than the pictures of the panzers that were used in Europe, because the barrels on their tanks are not as long, and that is because the longer the barrel, it was harder for them to clean, and with all the dust and the sand fighting in the desert, that made it hard to clean it. So they had the shorter barrels on them that made their tanks less accurate. And I think that's going to be it for today, guys. We'll pick up with the next video in Operation Barbarossa. And then we will move on to the Allied victories. As I said, World War II is kind of broken up into two sets. The Axis victories, which are going to be when Hitler and the Italians and the Japanese go out and take control of most of Southeast Asia, most of Europe, so forth. And then the Allied victories when they start to fight back against the Axis powers and regain that land and finally defeat them. I know one of your questions is who the Axis powers are, and like I said, it's Germany with Adolf Hitler, Italy with Mussolini, and then Japan. Those will be the three Axis powers, and then the Allied powers we will discuss when we get into their victories. Hope everybody's doing great out there. Talk to y'all later.